Good evening, everybody. Hi, Anita. Hi, Tim. Hi, whoever else is online, and for whatever reason, I can't see you. I'm already actually going to have a sip of my cup of tea because I've just spent the last hour and a half preparing. Good evening. I just spent the last hour and a half preparing for this, and I made my tea, and I was so looking forward to drinking it, and I haven't drunk it yet, so. Et voila. So, I hope you are all doing well. I hope you have had a fine sunny day if you were in Vienna. It started off a little bit chilly, but it got much warmer later. Don't forget, I think as of the weekend, we are allowed to go and have dinner in restaurants. Good evening, Anne Tischlinger. How lovely to have you online as well. No, wave at everybody. I don't know why I'm leaning forward. Oh, I'm telling you why I'm leaning forward, because I can read you easily here much more better than I can read over there, because then I have to turn away. So, candles burning, incense is already burnt. I've got my tea. I've got just water today, so no fear. Hopefully I won't stumble too much over my words, although I do have quite a lot of Arabic names to say today, so if anybody who speaks Arabic is listening in. I've got some difficult English words today to say as well, so this is going to be fun. So if I bastardize any Arabic names, I apologize now already. Saman always has a little bit of a giggle sometimes. She says mostly I say the names correctly, but very occasionally I say things wrong, and she always has a little bit of a giggle about me doing so. Anyway, so without further ado, I think I should begin tonight. It's not too much of a long one, actually. I'm sorry, I've had a bit of back problems, unfortunately, during lockdown, so sometimes I have to fidget a little bit in my seat until I get a comfortable position. Anyway, there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the 30th night already. That means 1001. I'm really bad at maths. 1001 minus 30, and I should know this. And it must be 829. No, 920. No, wait. 979. Is that right? Is that 979 is right? Anyway, so that means we've still got a number of nights to go yet. And Saman and I have already talked that we are going to carry on reading, and we are going to carry on putting them online, and eventually we are going to move all of the chapters, all of the nights, onto YouTube, so they will be there forever, for eternity, until YouTube gets closed down one day, for anybody to read and pick up any night. So that is our intention and our plan, and we'll let you know the minute we've managed to get it all over to YouTube, and then you can share it with other people who aren't on Facebook as well. So here we go. Now, are you sitting comfortably, children? You have your tea, coffee, wine, water, whatever it is you need to be very comfortable. Hello, good evening, everybody. It's so lovely to be able to read for you this lovely Tuesday evening. And yeah, let's start. Okay. Now, then it was the 30th night. Shahrazad said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the young man said to the barber, 'Thou certainly wilt be the death of me this very day.' 'O master mine,' replied he, 'I am he, the silent man hight, by reason of the fewness of my words, to distinguish me from my 6 brothers. For the eldest is called Al-Bakbuk, the prattler, the second Al-Hadar, the babbler, the third Al-Fakik, the gabbler, the fourth, his name is Al-Kuz Al-Aswani, the long-necked guglet, from his eternal chattering. The fifth is Al-Nashar, the tattler and tale-teller. The sixth is Shakashik, or many clamours, and the seventh is famous as Al-Samit, the silent man, and this is my noble self. Whilst he redoubled his talk, I thought my gallbladder would have burst, so I said to the servant, "Give him a quarter dinar and dismiss him and let him go from me in the name of God who made him. I won't have my head shaved today." "What words be these, O my lord?" cried he. "By Allah, I will accept no hire of thee till I have served thee and have ministered thee to thy wants, and I care not if I never take money of thee. If thou know not my quality, I know thine, and I owe thy father, honest man, on whom Allah Almighty have mercy, many a kindness, for he was a liberal soul and a generous. By Allah, he sent for me one day, as it were this blessed day, and I went into him and found a party of his intimates about him. Quoth he to me, 'Let me blood.' So I pulled out my astrolabe, and taking the sun's altitude for him, I ascertained that the ascendant was inauspicious and the hour unfavourable for blooding. I told him of this, and he said according to my bidding, and waited a better opportunity. So I made these lines in honour of him. I went to my patron, some blood to let him, but found that the moment was far from good. So I sat and I talked of all strangenesses, with jests and jokes, his goodwill I wooed. They pleased him, and cried he, 'O man of wit, thou hast proved thee perfect in merry mood.' Quoth I, 'O thou lord of men, save thou lend me art and wisdom, I'm foul and would in thee gather grace, boon, bounty, suavity, and I guerdon the world with law, science, and gravity.' Thy father was delighted and cried out to the servant, 'Give him 103 gold pieces with a robe of honour.' The man obeyed his orders, and I awaited an auspicious moment when I blooded him, and he did not balk me. Nay, he thanked me, and I was also thanked and praised by all present. When the bloodletting was over, I had no power to keep silent, and asked him, 'By Allah, O my lord, what made thee say to the servant, give him 103 dinars? And he answered, 1 dinar for the astrological observation, another for thy pleasant conversation, the third for the phlebotomization, and the remaining 100 and the dress were for thy verses in my commendation.' 'May Allah show small mercy to my father,' exclaimed I, 'for knowing the like of thee.' He laughed and ejaculated, 'There is no God but thee, God, and Mohammed is the apostle of God. Glory to him that changeth and is changed not. I took thee for a man of sense, but I see thou babblest and dottest for illness. Allah hath said in the blessed book, Paradise is prepared for the goodly who bridle their anger and forgive men, and so forth, and in any case thou art excused. Yet I cannot conceive the cause of thy hurry and flurry. Thou must know that thy father and thy grandfather did nothing without consulting me, and indeed it hath been said truly enough, let the adviser be prized, and there is no vice in advice, and it is also said in certain saws, whoso hath no counsellor elder than he will never himself be an elder. And the poet says, whatever needful thing thou undertake, consult the experienced and contraire him not. And indeed thou shalt never find a man better versed in affairs than I. And I am here standing on my feet to serve thee. I am not vexed with thee. Why shouldest thou be vexed with me? But whatever happen, I will bear patiently with thee in memory of the much kindness thy father shewed me. By Allah, cried I, O thou with tongue long as the tail of a jackass, thou persistent in pestering me with thy prate, and thou becomest more longsome in thy long speeches, when all I want of thee is to shave my head and wend thy way. Then he lathered my head, saying, I perceive thou art vexed with me, but I will not take it ill of thee, for thy wit is weak, and thou art but a laddie. It was only yesterday I used to take thee on my shoulder and carry thee to school. Oh, my brother, said I, for Allah's sake, do what I want and go thy gait. And I rent my garments. When he saw me do this, he took the razor and fell to sharpening it, and gave not over stropping it until my senses were well nigh leaving me. Then he came up to me and shaved part of my head. Then he held his hand, and then he said, Oh, my Lord, haste is Satan's gate. Whilst patience is of Allah the compassionate. But thou, O my master, I ken thou knowest not my rank, for verily this hand alighteth upon the heads of kings and emirs and wazirs and sages and doctors learned in the law. And the poet said of one like me, all crafts are like necklaces strung on a string, but this barber's union, pearl of the band. High over all craftsmen he ranketh. And why? The heads of the kings are under his hand. Then said I, do leave off talking about what concerneth thee not. Indeed, thou hast straitened my breast and distracted my mind. Quoth he, meseems thou art a hasty man. And quoth I, yes, yes, yes. And he, I read thee practice restraint of self, for haste is Satan's pelf, which bequeatheth only repentance and ban and bane, and he, upon whom be blessings and peace, have said, the best of works is that wherein deliberation lurks. But I, by Allah, have some doubt about thine affair, and so I should like to let me know what it is thou art in such haste to do, for I fear me it is other than good. Then he continued, it wanteth 3 hours yet to prayer time, but I do not wish to be in doubt upon this matter. Nay, I must know the moment exactly, for truly a guest shot in times of doubt oft brings harm about, especially in the like of me, a superior person, whose merits are famous amongst mankind at large, and it doth not befit me to talk at random, as do the common sort of astrologers. So saying, he threw down the razor, and taking up the astrolabe, went forth under the sun and stood there a long time, after which he returned, and counting on his fingers, said to me, there remain still to prayer time 3 full hours, and complete, neither more nor yet less, according to the most learned astronomicals and the wisest makers of almanacs. Allah upon thee, cried I, hold thy tongue with me, for thou breakest my liver in pieces. So he took the razor and, after sharpening it as before, and shaving other 2 hairs off my head, he again held his hand and said, I am concerned about thy hastiness, and indeed wouldst thou do well to let me into the cause of it. 'Twere the better for thee, as thou knowest that neither thy father nor thy grandfather ever did a single thing save by my advice. When I saw that there was no escape from him, I said to myself, the time for prayer draws near, and I wish to go to her before the folk come out of the mosque. If I am delayed much longer, I know not how I am to come at her. Then said I aloud, be quick and stint this talk and impertinence, for I have to go to a party at the house of some of my intimates. When he heard me spake of the party, he said, this day is a blessed day for me. In very sooth, it was but yesterday I invited a company of my friends, and I have forgotten to provide anything for them to eat. This very moment I was thinking of it. Alas, how shall I be disgraced in their eyes? Be not distressed about this matter, answered I, for I have told thee I am bidden to an entertainment this day, so everything in my house, eatable and drinkable, shall be thine, if thou wilt only get through thy work and make haste to shave my head. He replied, Allah requite thee with good. Specify to me what is in thy house for thy guests, that I may wear of it. Quoth I, 5 dishes of meat, and 10 chickens with reddened breasts, and a roasted lamb. Set them before me, quoth he, that I may see them. So I told my people to buy, borrow, or steal them, and bring them in any wise, and had them all set before him. When he saw it, he cried, the wine is wanting. And I replied, I have a flagon or 2 of good old grape juice in the house. And he said, have it brought out. So I sent for it, and he exclaimed, Allah bless thee for a generous disposition, but there are still the essences and the perfumes. So I bade them set before him a box containing nard, the best of compound perfumes, together with fine lingualoose and ambergris and musk unmixed, the whole worth 50 dinars. Now the time waxed straight, and my heart straightened with it. So I said to him, take it all and finish shaving my head by the life of Muhammad, whom Allah bless and keep. By Allah, said he, I will not take it till I see all that is in it. So I bade the page open the box, and the barber laid down the astrolabe, leaving the greater part of my head unpolled, and sitting on the ground, turned over the scents and incense and aloes wood and essences till I was nigh distraught. Then he took up the razor, and coming up to me, shaved off some few hairs and repeated these lines. The boy, like his father, shall surely show, as the tree from its parent root shall grow. Then said he, by Allah, O my son, I know not whether to thank thee or thy father for my entertainment this day is all due to thy bounty and thy beneficence, and although none of my company be worthy of it, yet I keep a set of honourable men, to wit, Zantut, the bath-keeper, Zalfar, the corn chandler, Silat, the bean seller, Akrashah, the greengrocer, and Humaid, the scavenger, and Saeed, the camelman, and Suwaid, the porter, and Abu Makarish, the bathman, and Kasim, the watchman, and Karim, the groom. There is not among the whole of them a boor or a bully in his cups, nor a meddler, nor a miser of his money, and each and every one hath some dance which he danceth, and some of his own couplets which he caroleth, and the best of them is that, like thy servant, they slave here. They know not what much talking is, nor what forwardness means. The bath-keeper sings to the tom-tom a song which enchants, and he stands up and dances and chants, I am going, O mammy, to fill up my pot. And as for the corn chandler, he brings out more skill to it than any. He dances and sings, O Kina, O sweetheart, thou fallest not short. And he leaves no one's victuals sound for the laughing at him. But the scavenger sings so that the birds stop to listen to him, and dances and sings, News, my wife, what's it not locked in a box? And he hath privilege, for 'tis a shrewd rogue and a witty. And speaking of his excellence, I am wont to say, my life for the scavenger, right well I love him. Like a waving bough he is sweet to my sight. Fate joined us one night, when to him quoth I, the while I grew weak, and love gained more might. Thy love burns my heart, no wonder, quoth he, when the draw of dung turns a stoker white. And indeed each is perfect in whatso can charm the wit with joy and jollity, adding presently, but hearing is not seeing, and indeed if not thou make up thy mind to join us and put off going to thy friends, 'twill be better for us and for thee. The traces of illness are upon thee, and haply thou art going among folk who be mighty talkers, men who commune together what concerneth them not. Or there may be amongst them some forward fellow who will split thy head, and thou have half thy size from sickness. This shall be for some other day, answered I, and laughed with heart and angered. Finish thy work, and go in Allah Almighty's guard to thy friends, for they will be expecting thy coming. Oh, my lord, replied he, I seek only to introduce thee to these fellows of infinite mirth, the sons of men of worth, amongst whom there is neither precocity, nor dicacity, nor loquacity, for never since I grew to years of discretion could I endure to consort with who asketh questions concerning what concerneth him not, nor have I ever frequented any save those who are, like myself, men of few words. In sooth, if thou wert to company with them, or even to see them once, thou wouldest forsake all thy intimates. Oh, Allah fulfill thy joyance with them, said I. Needs must I come amongst them some other day, and so be it. But he said, would it be this very day? For I had my heart set upon thy making one of us. Yet if thou wouldst go to thy friends today, I will take these good things wherewith thou hast honoured and favoured me to my guests, and leave them to eat and drink, and not wait for me. Whilst I will return to thee in haste, and accompany thee to thy little party, for there is no ceremony between me and my inmates to prevent my leaving them. Fear not, I will soon be back with thee, and wend with thee whithersoever thou wendest. There is no majesty, and there is no might, save in Allah, the glorious, the great. I shouted, go thou to thy friends, and make merry with them, and do let me go to mine, and be with them this day, for they expect me. But the barber cried, I will not let thee go alone. And I replied, the truth is, none can enter where I am going, save myself. He rejoined, I suspect that today thou art for an assignation with some woman, as thou hast taken me with thee. Yet I am the right man to take, one who would aid thee to the end thou wishest. But I fear me, thou art running after strange women, and thou wilt lose thy life. For in this our city of Baghdad, one cannot do anything in this line, especially on a day like Friday. Our governor is an angry man and a mighty sharp blade. Shame on thee, thou wicked, bad old man, cried I. Be off! What words are these thou givest me? Oh, cold of wit, cried he, thou sayest to me what is not true, and thou hidest thy mind from me. But I know the whole business for certain, and I seek only to help thee this day with my best endeavour. I was fearful, lest my people or my neighbours should hear the barber's talk. So I kept silence for a long while, whilst he finished shaving my head, by which time the hour of prayer was come, and the khutbah or sermon was about to follow. When he had done, I said to him, "Go to thy friends, with them eat and drink, and I will await thy return. Then we will fare together. In this, I hope to pour oil on troubled waters and to trick the accursed loon, so haply I might get quit of him." But he said, "Thou art cozening me, and thou wouldest go alone to thy appointment and cast thyself into jeopardy, whence there will be no escape for thee. Now, by Allah, and again by Allah, do not go till I return, that I may accompany thee and watch the issue of thine affair." Excuse me, I need some of my tea. "So be it," I replied. "Do not be long absent." Then he took all the meat and drink I had given him, and the rest of it, and went out of my house. But the accursed Carl gave it in charge of a porter to carry to his home, but he hid himself in one of the alleys. As for me, I rose on the instant, for the muezzins had already called the salam of Friday, the salutation to the apostle, and I dressed in haste and went out alone, and hurrying to the street, took my stand by the house wherein I had seen the young lady. I found the old woman on guard at the door, awaiting me, and went up with her to the upper story, the damsel's apartment. Hardly had I reached it, when behold, the master of the house returned from prayers, and entering the great saloon, closed the door. I looked down from the window and saw this barber, Allah's curse upon him, sitting over against the door, and said, "How did this devil find me out?" At this very moment, as Allah had decreed it, for rending my veil of secrecy, it so happened that a handmaid of the housemaster committed some offence for which he beat her. She shrieked out, and his slave man ran in to intercede for her, whereupon the Kasi beat him to boot, and he also roared out. The damned barber fancied that it was I who was being beaten, so he also fell to shouting, and tore his garments and scattered dust on his head, and kept on shrieking and crying, "Help! Help!" So the people came round about him, and he went on yelling, "My master is being murdered in the Kazi's house." Then he ran, clamouring to my place with the folk after him, and told my people and servants and slaves. And before I knew what was doing, up they came, tearing their clothes and letting loose their hair, and shouting, "Alas, our master!" And this barber, leading the rout with his clothes rent and in sorriest plight, and he also shouting like a madman and saying, "Alas for our murdered master!" And they all made an assault upon the house in which I was. The Kazi, hearing the yells and the uproar at his door, said to one of his servants, "See what is the matter." And the man went forth and returned and said, "O my master, at the gate there are more than 10 1,000 souls. What with men and women and all crying out, "Alas for our murdered master," and they keep pointing to our house. When the Cassis heard this, the matter seemed serious, and he waxed wroth. So he rose and opening the door saw a great crowd of people, whereat he was astounded. Done it again. Whereat he was astounded and said, "O folk, what is there to do?" "O accursed, O dog, O hog," my servants replied, "'tis thou who hast killed our master." Quoth he, "O good folk, what hath your master done to me that I should kill him?" And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the very wonderful 30th night. It's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow when Saman reads. And it was a fun story because that barber kept going on about how he never babbled. And he babbled on and on and on and on and never seemed to stop. And that poor young man was trying to get away and trying to get his hair cut. I don't know whether you have the same sometimes with your hairdresser, where you're sitting in there and all you want to do is just have some peace and quiet and have your hair washed and your head massaged and have a nice cut and just sit in peace and quiet. In fact, I can tell you a story because my son and I share the same hairdresser, and I was at the hairdresser's today, and my son Daniel, who you've now met and heard at least, said, "Oh, can I drive in with you and get my hair cut too?" And I looked at him and I went, "Well, you could get your hair cut another day." And he went, "Why? If I get my hair cut with you, then you'll be killing two birds with one stone." And I went, "No, why would I be doing that?" And he goes, "Well, you can drive me in, so you don't have to drive me in another day." And I said, "Well, I won't have to drive you in another day because you are old enough to go in your own. I mean, you are 20 years old after all." And he went, "Yes, but then you could take me and then we could get our hair cut together." And I looked at him and I said, "No, I like getting my hair cut on my own and having my hair massaged and having a shampoo done and being there on my own and just relaxing." And sometimes there are days, my hairdresser is absolutely fantastic. And by the way, he's fluent in English because he also grew up in Australia. So if ever you're looking for a very, very funny hairdresser who has a very small salon but in a very beautiful place, it's in the Galerien just off the Vrijong. So it's a very nice place. You can ask me afterwards, send me a text message, or look on my private page because I tagged him in on my private page today. His hair salon is in the first district just off the Vrijong, and opposite his hairdressers is one of the best little coffee maker places in Vienna. Anyway, sometimes he talks quite a lot as well, and you just want to go in there and you just want to sit back and relax and close your eyes and shut it. But mostly he notices now when Joanna just wants to have peace and quiet, because as you have noticed, Joanna can also talk lots and lots and lots and lots. So this poor young man is about to get into trouble because his barber wouldn't shut up. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Guys, it is 10:30. I've got to go and read a bunch of plays. Thank you very much, Anita. Thank you very, very, very much indeed. Yes, I'm sorry, by the way. I know I was going to read the Clarice Bean stories and Winnie the Pooh over the weekend, but I just got so busy doing nothing, and it was such a pleasure that I forgot. And then I suddenly remembered yesterday, and then it was too late. So I will start reading them again sometime this week. So, guys, it was an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed reading to you as usual. This was a fun one. Nothing desperate has happened to anybody yet, but we know that it's about to happen. So tune in tomorrow for the next installment of what's going to either befall the owner of this house, or the young man, or both, or the maiden. We'll find out tomorrow. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening, or day, or morning, whatever part of your day you are in. For all of those of you who are not on Central European time, I wish you many salams. Have a beautiful, beautiful time. Take care of yourself. Treat yourself gently and kindly. Wherever you are. If you're not in your lockdown, lucky you. If you are still in it, take deep breaths every day. Breathe in, breathe out, and just enjoy yourself and be kind to yourself. Bye-bye, everybody, and see you. Today's Tuesday. I will see you on Thursday, and tomorrow, Saman is going to enjoy reading to you. Take care. Bye, everybody. Oh, hi, Jochen. Oh, hi, Saman is watching. Hi, Saman. Send me a heart. Go on, I want to see a heart now. Saman and I actually went for a really lovely dinner yesterday together and had a really, really nice time. So, take care, everybody. Bye.